Okay, that's about time, I think. How we feeling about that, Val?
That was perfect. Once again.
A beautiful intro. As always, if you're watching on Twitch, first of all, thank you, welcome. I cannot hear the music. I just know that it lasts for a certain amount of time, so I just dance to fill that time. And if you're listening to this on a podcast, this isn't really relevant to you. But either way, thank you everyone for tuning in via whatever method you find fit to I Love Improv with Trent Dozier. Thanks for being here. Shout yourself out in the chat, and also give some shout outs, give some love to our technical support, our technical producer, our also regular producer. I don't know. She's got many titles. She's very talented. Please give it up for Val Agnew. Hi, Val.
Hey, what's up?
Nothing. I'm just chilling, ready to do some freaking improv like I do here every other Thursday on twitch.tv/The Trident Network. And you know what, Val?
What?
Speaking of twitch.tv/The Trident Network, if you are a subscriber to this Twitch channel, you can now use the exclusive emotes of the Trident Network Twitch, which is the party dolphin claps. Am I correct on that, Val?
Oh, that is so correct. I've just used them.
Oh, good. Yeah. So if you're in the chat, you can see what these sweet party dolphin claps look like. And of course, if you are a subscriber to twitch.tv/The Trident Network, you have unlimited access to the party dolphin claps, not only on our Twitch streams, but on any Twitch stream you watch. And that's very cool.
That's right.
Also, we're here to do some improv because, as the name of the show says, I love improv. And this week we have a very, very special guest, a very talented performer, but also a very talented human overall. Someone I'm very excited to be able to do some improv with, but also get to talk about improv with, because I think they are someone who is very thoughtful about the improv that they do and the improv that they like and the art form in general. And I guess now that I'm thinking about it, a thoughtful person in general. This is a good overall person. I like this person a lot. Please welcome to the screen my guest for this week, Ariel Sinha.
Ooh, yoo-hoo, hello.
Hello, Ariel. How are you
buddy.
doing?
Oh, I'm good. I am having like the busiest season of my life, but it's good. It's all good.
Artistically?
Artistically, yeah. I mean, work-wise and artistically, I'm doing some cool projects, which I'm really excited about. It's just like crazy deadlines and I'm working around the clock, but this is this is a great break for me though. So it is. Good. And I mean that.
Well, first of all, if you're in the chat, please show Ariel some love. She's a talented improviser, as you are about to see, but also she is an incredibly, insanely talented artist. For more information on her work, you can visit arielsinhaha.com or follow her on Instagram at arielsinhaha. She posts her work all the time. It is just gorgeous. Actually, okay. So for the Twitch stream, you'll see right here as I awkwardly mess up my whole setup, this picture above my right shoulder is Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys, which is my partner Nia D'Amelio's favorite band. Nia's actually probably in the chat. But Ariel did that picture of Brian Wilson per Nia's request. And it's gorgeous. And it hangs in the creation station in our apartment, as I call it.
Oh, I love that. Creation station.
Yes.
I love the collection behind you too. Those Funkos are.
Yeah, we got a lot of Funko Pops.
Watching over you.
Maybe one day I won't have any guests, and I'll just do improv exclusively with all these Funko Pops. That could be fun. Before we get into it, first off, everybody in the chat, Ariel and I will need a suggestion of a scene to do for all of you. Before we get that, as always, I would like it to be a hyper-specific suggestion as opposed to something like boots. It would be something more specific like Trent is a boot salesman and Ariel is in the store trying to buy her first pair of boots, and also she is balding, something like that. Something better. Something better than that. But if you want to maybe wait a second before you start flooding in the suggestion, if you have an idea already, please throw your suggestions into the chat. If you want to wait a second, maybe our brief discussion Ariel and I are about to have might help inform your decision a little bit more. First, as always, as we do on I Love Improv with Trent Dozier, Trent Dozier, will tell you, my guest, Ariel Sinha, what I love about your improv. Ariel, does that sound good to you?
That sounds really nice. Bring it.
And then after this conversation, maybe that can help inform people of a specific scene that they want to see. I don't know. We'll see. And if no one gives us a suggestion, Val will. And that's why Val's here. Actually, that's her secondary function. Obviously, Val's primary function is making sure technically all of this works. Ariel, first off, you are, as a human, as I've said multiple times, you radiate joy. And I think that comes across when you're on stage. It never, especially when you are clearly having fun, I think people see that, and it's fun to not only watch, but it's really fun to be a part of. For me, in the litany of groups I played with in Chicago, you were one of my, I feel like I'm a little chaotic, or I can be chaotic. And just sitting in a scene is very hard for me. But when it was a 2-person scene with you, which we actually, now that I'm thinking of, did a lot of, we were on the same Herald team together. Slice, ever heard of it? Pretty cool team. And we did a lot of first beat scenes together, just the two of us. And those are some of my favorite, just being able to be a real human with someone. I think you're like the best at that. One of the best at that. You're just, you can easily move into Goof Town and Goof Central. And actually, as you and I and Val were talking about before the show started, in terms of like a big overall piece, you're great at like connecting everyone and bringing everyone together. But when it just comes to one-on-one improv, you're one of my favorite people to just sit and do a scene with. Like, forgive me if the scene we do ends up being 30 minutes today, because I just love to sit and do improv with you. It's just like, I don't know, it's a freaking joy. It's a joy to do it, Ben. And you're just good at it. I don't know.
Oh, that's so nice. Thank you.
What do you think? What do you agree with that? Do you feel like you're the realest person you know on stage?
Yeah, sometimes I do. Yeah, but usually it's so like really nice to hear you say that, because I often think of that as like a fault. Like, I feel like improv should be comedy, and I'm not afraid of like getting into like the depths of it. And if we're really connecting in a relationship way that's not necessarily funny, like I'm not afraid of that. But there are all the time scenes where I walk away being like, oh yeah, that was supposed to be funny. And instead we just like felt some stuff for a while. And I think that's cool too. And that happens. But like, you are always, I think the reason you and I make a good team is because we can go to those depths, but like you'll always make sure that it's funny.
Oh, well, thank you. That's
you
high
can
praise.
Carry that. Yeah, you can carry that. Take up the mantle with making sure it's funny.
I will say thank you. That's great praise. I love that. I also think you are selling yourself a little short on how funny you are. You are very funny. And you are, I honestly feel like you are like me in the sense of like, we can both be funny, but we can also be real. And you just tend to lean more towards realness, and I tend to lean more towards not a real person going off the walls. But
I think that's
great.
fair. I think that's fair, but that's good. I mean, of all of the times that we've performed together, I always with you, I know, but like my favorite moments are when it's you in a scene and I'm not in the scene, I'm in the wings. And because our Herald team was called Slice, you know where I'm going with this. There'd be something that happens in the scene, like a guillotine drops or like something happens. And I would, from the side, knowing that this was like a laugh trigger for you, I would just go Slice. And like, it's such an inside baseball kind of joke, like that only we would find funny. But just breaking you when that would happen is like my favorite thing ever. I'm like, it's such an easy thing. He
I
laughs
love,
every time.
yeah, I love to be broken. I think if you break on stage, it's not a bad thing. I know people look at that like it's a bad thing. Katie Klein, who is a Chicago improviser who I look up to big time, the best piece of advice I ever got was from her in a class was she was like, I always was self-conscious about breaking because teachers would give me notes like don't break, you break too much, blah blah blah. And then one day I realized I was playing with people who I love and make me laugh and I think are very funny. So if I'm going to laugh for 3 seconds in the middle of a scene and then go back into it, I think that's fine. And
Yeah.
I was like, wow, that makes a lot of sense to me because it comes across, it shows that you're having joy. And as I've said before, it's a lot more fun to watch people have fun than it is to watch people try to be good at improv.
I agree. And, I was thinking about this earlier today because I think I've been really bad about breaking since shows have been coming back. And I'm like, what is it? Because I used to be decent at like keeping it together. And I'm like, I think it's just because I forgot how much fun this all is. And like something so ridiculous will happen. And I'm like, oh yeah, this is so stupid. And I love it so much. It just is, feels good to laugh. I'm like, I really got to rein it in.
I don't think you do. I don't think you do. Let those giggles fly. Okay, with all that being said, let's do some improv. There is a bit of a delay between the chat, what you're hearing, and me, what I'm saying. So if you have a suggestion for a scene, please throw it in the chat right now. Val, how's it looking out there?
You've received 2 excellent suggestions from someone who happens to live in your house.
Both are from her?
Both are from her. Are you okay with that? Because they're great.
Yeah, I'm good. Whichever one, Val, you think is better, you give to us, and then Ariel and I will do some improv.
Okay, I'm going to pick one, and I'm going to add one additional detail to it.
Great.
Trent is a docent at a Titanic museum, and Ariel is a security guard at the same museum who has a dark fascination with the shipwreck.
Okay.
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 Ready?
Yes.
Oh, well, the back gate's clear.
Okay, great. Everything, oh my God, it's just been such a long day. Everything's secure. All the pieces are secure. I'm sorry. There was some, yes, I'm okay. There were some people who were a little rude during the final tour of the day, and they tried to jump onto the movie stuff that we have.
Yeah, they were doing the Jack and Rose.
They were trying to, and I'm very small, so it was hard for me to physically stop. And I was in the security wing with Dawn, who is obviously not as good as you are at your job. And Dawn was struggling, but eventually we got it all separated. I'm just a little flustered, but everything's secure inside.
Yeah, well, you know what? I've been thinking about that a lot lately and how many people are trying to Jack and Rose up there. And I'm going to build something. I'm going to rig my own way of keeping people off of that because they don't seem to respect the lives lost, And I feel like they are, the movie glorifies it and romanticizes it, but you know how much death there was that day.
I personally know how much that was. Yes, I talk about it every day. I do, if I may posit a suggestion, I do think that's a good idea, and I think it could be productive and definitely helpful to me in my day, but I do think you have to run that up the food chain, Barney. Were you planning on running that up the food chain, or were you just going to start building? I noticed a bunch of wooden boards in your truck this morning when I got here.
Oh, I'm gonna, ask. Better to ask forgiveness. I feel like it's one of those things. Look, I'm taking some initiative around here. It's maybe the first time in a long time since the divorce that I have felt excited about anything, and I really need this. So please just keep it under your hat for now. Especially don't tell Dawn.
I know, but Dawn is head of security, and I just
Yeah, and
feel
she's also my ex-wife, and she and I are not on good terms. And you know, I need a leg up on her.
okay. I support this decision in
Whose
theory.
side? Can you tell me again whose side you're on, Jake?
I don't want to.
You
I
gotta
don't.
pick, man.
I just feel like I shouldn't have to be in the middle of this. Both of you are my friends. Obviously, if I could only have one of you as a security guard, it would be you, Barney, because you are physically larger than Don. And anytime someone's trying to Jack and Rose over in the corner, you're much better at separating them from Jackin' and Rosen than Don is. But as I've said, you're both my friends. I've had great one-on-one time with both of you, and I've had great times with you as a couple. And I don't know, would it be crazy of me to try and set you guys back up, do like a parent trap situation?
Oh, did we lose Trent? Oh, are you back, Jake?
I'm here.
Did we
Can you
lose?
hear me?
I can hear you, Jake. Sorry, I had to go to the bathroom.
That's okay. That's okay. What I was saying, maybe you heard me, maybe you didn't. Would it be out of bounds for me to try and parent trap you and Don back together?
Are you saying you have a twin, Jake?
No. No, I do have a pair of triplet younger brothers, but that's obviously not.
Really?
Yes.
Do you think the four of you would want to come over for some darts and some beers?
Well, all three of them live in South Africa. They are
nuts.
Currently not in the States, so I can't. I think that it would be something they would like to do, but I wasn't saying.
How about just you, Jake? Would you like to come over for some darts and some beers? Some one-on-one guy time? We could solidify our friendship a little more.
I'll solidify. That's fine by me. I just don't. I feel like now you're trying to use me as a tool against Don, and I don't want that to be the case. I would love to be your friend. I would not love to be your weapon of choice. Are you crying? No.
Jake?
No.
No, I hear you. I just
Barney, don't cry.
No, it's fine. You know, of course, there's two sides to every story, and I'm sure Dawn has told you hers, and mine is just that I loved her unconditionally, and she stomped on my heart. So, you know, if you still feel like you can't pick sides, that's fine. We can just, you know, just be work friends.
Listen, Barney, I don't think that what she did wasn't wrong. It just seemed like she fell out of love, and that was it. She didn't cheat on you. She didn't.
It hurts worse to hear you say it, Jake.
I know, but you're gonna have to. It's been 4.5 years, and I just feel like it's time to start coming around. That she's not gonna come back around unless there was some type of parent trap situation where I basically tricked her into loving you again. I don't want to be used by a weapon by you. I want to be the weapon for myself.
To weaponize yourself. I love. Okay.
So we can't.
The answer is yes. I would just. Okay. Yes, I was confused by the reference. I started thinking about Lindsay Lohan and how there's only one of her. Oh, now I get it, because there's also only one of. Okay, there's one of you. You're gonna play both sides.
I mean, I wasn't. I don't. I think a reference to parent trapping is more getting divorced parents back together as opposed to being twins getting divorced parents back together.
Okay.
I think the end goal is what parent trapping is, as opposed to the whole movie.
Okay. Well, that's good to hear, because I don't have time to go to summer camp again.
Well, sure, but even if that was the case, you would not be the one. If you were getting parent trapped, you wouldn't be the one going to summer camp. I would be. You would be sending me.
And I'd be the stepmom. I'd be the young hot stepmom.
No, you would be Dennis Quaid.
Oh, okay. Field of Dreams.
No, Dennis Quaid was in the baseball movie. Dennis Quaid was in was The Rookie.
Oh, okay.
Field of Dreams is Kevin Costner. Bull Durham was also Kevin Costner. And Kevin Costner was also in a third baseball movie, which I can't think of because most of my movie knowledge is filled with Titanic stuff. Yeah, so I can't think of it at this time.
Hey, is this a new suit, Jake? You look good. You look different.
Yes, well, I have recently decided to forego the beard and ride Mustache Mountain, so to speak.
Well, it's a good look for you. I'm so glad they finally let the docent team start wearing navy.
Yes, I agree. Navy is my color. I think it's slimming, and I actually think earlier in the day I might have secured a date with a patron. So
with a patron.
Yes, I know I've been talked to. I know I've been talked to before about dating patrons of the Titanic Museum, but they're just so impressed with me because they're Titanic fans, and clearly so am I. So I'm not very good at talking to other people outside of, I would say, my coworkers, which is why I get along with you and Don. But
why did you have to do that, Jake?
What?
You keep bringing her up.
I'm sorry. It's just
Jake, let me explain something to you. Our marriage was like the Titanic. Let me put this in terms you'll understand.
Okay.
Our marriage was just like the Titanic.
Okay, I think I got it.
Built, sturdy, strong foundation. Everyone said this ship's gonna go the distance. All it took was one iceberg named Peter. I don't know the iceberg's name. These are unrelated parallels. All it took was one iceberg to take the whole ship down. And Dawn, just like the selfish passengers, said women and children first, and she left and took my kids.
Oh my God.
And I haven't seen them in weeks. We're still working out the custody negotiations. And until then, I'm just not supposed to see them.
Barney, are you saying that Dawn did cheat on you? There was an iceberg? Because she told me that there was no iceberg.
Jake, I don't want to speak ill of Dawn, but there was an iceberg, and his name is Peter, and he works in the gift shop. I think you know him.
Peter from the gift shop, Peter?
Peter from the gift shop, Peter. What's he got that I don't got, Jake?
Oh, muscles.
What?
Sorry, that just kind of slipped out. I didn't.
That was so fast. You said that so fast.
Well, I can picture his body kind of perfectly, and it's muscles. I think it's muscles. You're a big sturdy guy, good security, but he's like shredded. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you could do cheese on his abs, probably. You could grate it. You could grate cheese on his abs.
She probably did.
No.
Dawn loves cheese.
I don't.
Dawn loves cheese, and I love Dawn.
Okay. Hey.
And I love cheese.
Okay. You want to go?
Did you hear that? The alarm's going off by the back gate.
Oh, let's go. I'll go with you.
I know this isn't your job, but come with me. I'm scared.
Oh, I'm gonna come with you because I'm scared. I don't want to be left alone.
Okay.
And I don't want a night at the museum situation to arise either.
Hold my hand, Jake. Let's go. Let's go. You have soft hands, Jake.
Thank you. I moisturize 3 times a day.
You got to tell me you look good. You've been moisturizing. I can tell you've been hitting the gym. What's this about?
I had a conversation with my mom recently where she yelled at me for not having a partner. So I'm really trying to put myself out there so my mom's not mad at me anymore.
Oh, well, do you think you want a partner?
I don't know.
Because let me tell you.
I really settled into a routine. Oh no, is this going to be a thing about getting divorced?
You think you want a partner, Jake?
Oh my God.
They'll keep you company for a while, but the loneliness that you feel when they're gone, it's not worth it.
You know what? I think I'll probably just pop out the front and I'll let you handle whatever's going on back
Okay.
here, and I'll
All
see.
right.
Okay, that's our scene. Uh, classic. Classic sad boy Ariel.
Very emo.
It was, yeah.
I feel like typically when you and I do a scene together, we are like siblings or a couple or some like personally related.
Yeah.
And it was fun to play more peripheral in like these characters' personal lives. And be a little more off the wall. I will say in that one, you felt more like the Trent, and I was more of the Ariel. You were more of the
I felt
goofball,
that.
I thought.
Yeah, I felt that too. I kept waiting for the tables to turn.
No. Sometimes you just gotta let Ariel be the little goofball. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Also, oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say I agree with you. I feel like you and I have done so many scenes where we're a couple about to meet the other's parents. I don't know why. That's just always where we
That
end
is
up.
true. I feel like at a minimum we've done probably 12 of those.
Yeah, for sure.
Also, sorry, my internet went out. I don't know what happened or that I started lagging, but I was in the middle of explaining that I wanted to parent trap you guys, so I was glad I got to wrap back around to it.
I couldn't tell if it was yours or mine. Could have been both.
Well, I did hear Val say something about mine, so it was probably me.
That's fine. I didn't have the wherewithal to vamp, so I just also froze.
It worked out.
Well, yeah, a lot tougher to vamp in the middle of the scene that's already happening than in the beginning of the show. 2 weeks ago, when we last did the show, my internet went out when I was introducing our guest for that week, Matt Rorty, and he basically took over hosting. But if my internet goes out in the middle of the scene, that's way harder for someone to come back from. But I thought the bathroom break was a nice choice.
Oh, thanks. Seems like something. What was my character's name? What'd you name me?
Barney.
Seemed
like the dinosaur. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's also pretty funny to, it kind of puts the first couple minutes of the scene in a new light if you think either all of that conversation or at least part of that conversation was happening in the men's bathroom and Barney was in a stall or something and he was just like, hey, we got to talk about this, so you just come with me while I go pee real quick and then we'll keep going. That puts a different spin on what we saw, I think.
Yeah, I do love that, as just in general, when a scene is taking place somewhere or you think it is and then it ends up being somewhere else. It's very fun.
The reveal. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I also think that's like a thing that happens in real life is you don't stop your conversations to go, if you're living together, for example, and you were doing a scene in the kitchen or whatever, you're having a conversation, but you have to pee, you're going to go to the bathroom and, keep the conversation going. I don't know. It's just, it felt real.
Yeah, it did. And I don't know about you, but this is a very pee with the door open kind of household.
Yeah.
Just carry on what you're doing. And someone's always peeing just out.
Someone's always peeing or pooping, doing one of the other bathroom functions.
Yeah, that's one line I will not cross. Poop with the door closed.
That's what I've been told, but sometimes you just gotta let them rip.
You
know
can't
what I mean?
tame this beast. Yes, I do.
Val, what'd you think?
I thought it was great. It definitely was the most grounded scene that you've done so far. And it felt really real. And I thought that, like, even the sillier moments, like the Parent Trap thing, like, I feel like I've had that conversation. Like, that felt very real, like something a friend would, like, offer to do, even if it was sort of tongue-in-cheek, like, how can I help you? And there was a moment where Ariel, you tried to like change the subject. You were like, you look great. Like, what's this new suit? You know, and like that also felt very like organic and real because like you obviously don't want to continue to talk about this depressing situation that you're in. And then of course Trent brought it back to that anyways, which was perfect.
Well, I think at that point, it did get to a point where I was like, okay, I feel like we only know about Barney. I want to know what's going on with Jake. And so it's like improv is like real life where you're like, oh, I've been talking about myself for too long. Time to switch it up.
That's very funny too, because I also feel like in real life, I'm a person who is like, I never want to talk about myself. So I was Jake in that situation where I'm like, and let's flip it back to you, Barney. Now that we've briefly touched on me and we're back to you. Just, I never want the spotlight shown on me.
I guess I never realized that about you.
There's a lot you don't know about me.
I mean, that's true.
I'm a mystery. No, I feel like go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, I think you don't offer up as a rule, you don't offer it up, but you're a very open person. If someone asks you about something, you'll answer.
Yeah, I agree with that, especially with my friends or people who I can consider trustworthy.
Yeah. Which is also one thing I really appreciate about you and our friendship is I love when people are nice, just good people, which you are, of course. But I like when they have an element still of like a willingness to like talk shit when it really comes down to it. And you have that. Even though if you ask anyone like, what's your opinion on Trent? They'd be like, nicest ever, which is true. But like, if you have an opinion on something, you won't hold back with your good friends, which I love.
Well, thank you. I agree. I also feel like I don't hold back when I need to, but I think I'm that way because that's also something I appreciate in people is if you have a problem with something, I'd rather know about it than someone being like, nice to your face and shitty behind your back or whatever.
Yeah.
The old adage of act how you want to be treated or treat others how you want to be treated.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that is to say nice to your face, but also mean to your face. I also really enjoyed, as Val knows by now, I'm sure, I love scenes with many pop culture references and that little, I guess there weren't a ton, but especially since the suggestion was based off of Titanic, which is a huge piece of both historical and popular culture. So that was fun, but like the baseball movie tangent was like my favorite 30 seconds of the whole scene.
And
crazy. It was top of
sorry, go ahead. No, go.
I was just gonna say it's top of mind too because the Field of Dreams game is today. Is that what you're gonna say, Val?
Yeah,
okay.
My husband is at that game right now. Michael's there.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
So they play every year. The Sox play a game in that field, and they play a different team every year. And this year they happen to be playing the Yankees, which is Michael's favorite team. And another improviser, Colin Kibler, works for the Sox, and so he and Michael are there right now. He got them tickets to go.
Wait a minute. In the actual cornfield?
Yeah, it's like 8,000 fans, and they play a game in that field.
And there's like the cornfield is around it, like and they wear throwback uniforms, which is very cute.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand how it's possible that I could not have known this until this moment.
I'm shocked that you didn't know this.
I'm shocked. I mean, I've seen the White Sox wear throwback uniforms before, but always at Comerica, Capital One, Comiskey, whatever the name of their
guaranteed rate. That's what it is.
Yeah, guaranteed rate.
And Kevin Costner's there too. He's at the game. He's like greeting all the players. Speechless, stunned, speechless.
I am flabbergasted. I just simply don't understand how I couldn't have ever seen it ever in my entire life. I watch SportsCenter. I love baseball.
It does feel like this year, for some reason, it's like a bigger deal than it's ever been. Like I've
So is
heard
it
about it more.
it's the same day every year?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Oh, yeah. I was wondering if it was like in the movie they played the final game on August 12th. So every year on August 12th, the White Sox play in that field. Is it in Iowa?
Yeah.
Is the field literally in Iowa?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like just over the border in Iowa. So like it's like really close to Galena, Illinois.
This has derailed my life. I just don't understand. I don't understand how I never could have known about this. My brother played college baseball. I know people who are in the minor leagues right now. Like, baseball is very important to my whole family. And the fact that this slipped by me, let's talk about improv, because I can't. I literally can't. I can't wrap my head around this.
There were a lot of great quotes, like all the Jack and Rosing, like using it as a verb.
The first time you said it, Ariel, I was like, this sounds so funny, and I'm gonna say it again later. I just knew I wanted to say it.
Jack and Rose, yeah, it does sound like a sex thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not, and everyone knows what it actually is.
Yeah. It's funny too, because the first time you said it, I was like, it took me a minute to like process what you had said. And then I was like, it's everything you said is correct. It sounds like one thing, but it isn't. But the other thing it is also just ridiculous. It was very funny. I was happy I was able to say it later.
Yeah. Have you ever Jack and Rosed off of anything?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I think we all have.
Yeah, I've jacked and I've rosed. You know, you got to be, the ability to do both is huge. Okay, continue, Val.
Oh, no, I think there were a couple like really quick responses, one from each of you that stood out. These were like, one of them isn't necessarily funny, but I was just like, wow, that was really fast. When our Ariel asked you like why your hands are so soft and like all that stuff, you just like readily had like, well, my mom has been giving me a hard time.
Yeah.
Which like I was like, is this based in reality? Because it was just so fast. And then of course, what's he got that I don't have? Muscles. It was just so fast.
that one too was like just a natural like, oh, that's the funniest thing, and it came to my mind immediately. But then I was like, I felt like I dug myself into a hole, because earlier I was praising Barney for how big and strong he was, and then I was like, okay, how am I gonna adjust this?
No, it was perfect, because
Yeah.
I could picture Barney or myself as Barney and like being just like a brick house of a person, but not necessarily fit, just sturdy.
Just sturdy. Yeah, that's like me. I'm just sturdy, you know. I'm hard to move.
You'd be a great Titanic Museum security guard if you ever.
Yeah, that would definitely be the more appropriate position for me of the two, between docent and security guard, because I was out of my depth. Like, I know Jackin' and Rosen, but I don't know a lot about the Titanic historically. That was the other thing too. I was glad. I do know you like to fuck with me, and I'm glad that you probably didn't realize how little I knew about the Titanic actually. Otherwise, when I was like when I said like I knew how many people died on the Titanic, right when I said it, I was worried that you were going to be like, how many people did die on the Titanic?
Yeah.
And then I was going to have to, I'm sure I would have either wildly overshot it or wildly undershot it, and then been called out for it in the comments by Nia specifically. But
that was my instinct when we were at the top of the scene. And we were talking about how people need to respect the death and destruction, and I was just going to start kind of tossing it over to you to give me facts about it. But we were so early that I was like, let's just find out who these people are. I won't just bury you with making you make stuff up about the Titanic.
I don't think it would have been a wrong choice, because I do think we would have gotten to that relationship between us anyways.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But also, thank you. Saved my ass.
I like What's your opinion on this? Because I sometimes I go back and forth where I'm like, usually the first thing you think is probably the thing you should say. And other times I'm like, don't say the first thing you think. Like there's something better right behind it. What's your opinion on that?
I think sometimes the speed at which you reply is what's funny as opposed to what you actually say. Like Val was saying earlier, the fact that we're responding quickly to each other is funnier than the fact of like what's the fun, like muscles is a funny answer, but it's also like a true, you know, it's like a true thing that, you know, someone could feel between two people. If I had sat and waited and then been like, you know, some I don't know. I'm not good at that's the other thing. I think my answer is respond right away because the more time I have to think about something, clearly the worse I am at giving examples of suggestions or whatever. But I do think typically I also feel like so rarely do I think like, okay, what would my character's correct response be? Usually Trent's response comes out and then I have to justify it as the character. But I do know a lot of people are the opposite of that, where they do take a long time to think about the response, or they do hold back from the first. It's just saying the first thing that comes to mind. I don't think there's a right or wrong way. I do think it's player preference.
Yeah.
I would say it's maybe dependent a little bit on your natural style versus like what you're trying to do in the moment, because like
Totally.
I definitely tend to like my first instinct is a very like like grounded authentic answer, right? Like I would just say like what I would really say in real life. But sometimes I want to be silly. So like once you get comfortable enough, like I think that when we're taught initially like just go with whatever the thing is that comes into your mind, it's because otherwise it's like agony waiting for someone to try and like get it out of themselves, right? Like in those early times of improv. But then once you're comfortable, I think it's okay in certain moments to reach for the second or third thing that comes to your mind, because you can still do it quickly, but you might get something that even surprises you, which I think is always a fun thing to try for.
Let me throw that question then back to you, Ariel, and also you, Val. Here we are now, 3 episodes in of a long form improv podcast, essentially, and we're about to talk about short form again. Ariel, you've been doing a lot of short form recently. Val, as have you. I also love short form. It was the one that I started with. Do you, in a situation like a line game or something like that, are you the type of person who is more inclined to be like, okay, I'm just going to go out and say the first thing that comes to mind? Or are you like, I'll let 2 or 3 other people go and I'll stay back and think of something really, really good? Oh, you know, fingers crossed, hopefully. Ariel?
I hate in short form, the worst thing is a pause.
Yes,
where
agreed.
Everyone's on the back line. So I will go out there and say anything, even if it's half baked, and just kind of laugh at myself. I'd rather do that than have a silent stage in short form.
Totally agreed. Val?
Yeah, I used to be that person who never got out like in live Latin games, because it's just whoever like jumps out faster, and like I would always get caught up in my thoughts on stage. But since doing it digitally, because it's done, at least at Comedy Sports, it's done burn box style, where like the ref just calls on you at random.
You don't have a choice.
You don't have a choice. So like last night I got called on first for something and my answer was terrible, but I just leaned as hard into it as I possibly could, and it was still funny. And like I've realized that my brand is just like failing really loud. So like just screaming into the camera as loud as I can, and just
especially in short form.
Yeah, exactly. And like I totally agree that like a pause is terrible, and just like own it. Like the less you're apologizing for yourself like in the moment, the funnier it's going to be, even if it's like a terror. Like yesterday, this wasn't even me. Yesterday, one of my teammates, who also is notoriously bad at puns, he was like, it was like something about iced tea, and like he just like mumbled a bunch of stuff and then just screamed Lipton. Like it was so funny because it was just like bad on purpose.
Yeah,
And I think that's way better. So I think, yeah, you need to just like jump in and go out there and do it.
I totally agree. I think in short form, I totally agree. I never want a blank space, never want silence. And in long form, I think there's way more room for that silence to be used as a tool and to be like helpful as opposed to counterproductive. I agree with both of you. I think you want to, I hate dead space, especially in short form, and I want to jump out there and fill it. And like, especially in a line game, the second I can see that no one has one, I'll walk out there and do a horrible one. And I also even like to like explain to the audience why my joke was funny.
Yes.
Yeah, Ariel's seen
Yes.
me do this. I love to explain why I was actually right and they were all wrong. But in reality, what it does is like, I think it accomplishes two things. One, it shows that you as the performer don't have any fear. And I think that's way more important for the audience to respect you in that way, as opposed to being like, well, he was really funny, but he only said like three things the whole show or whatever. And just like that confidence they really respond to. And two, me being out there just BSing gives my teammates time to think of something actually good.
Yeah.
And then be better than me. Because we're all working together in that capacity. We all want to put on a great show. I think we would all, and you can tell me if I'm out of line, we would all rather have the audience leaving the show being like, Slice was really good tonight, as opposed to leaving the show and being like, Slice was bad, but Ariel had a good set.
Yeah, totally. Oh, absolutely. And I think that's part of what I really like about Improv, is that there is that space to like play in silence and play with pauses without fear of being edited, or, I mean, not editing is never a bad thing, but like, you know what I mean? Like sometimes in a big team, it's just like things move really quickly.
Yeah.
I once took a workshop from Brian Husky, and something he said was, it's like really stuck with me, was like, if you're going to make a choice to like take a long pause as a character, he's like, you better be good at acting, and you better be acting through the pause. And personally, I don't think I'm a good enough actor to like really do that, which is why I tend to like go at more of a clip. But I just thought that was really interesting, where he was like, because it's like, it is good to take, people naturally in real life and conversation take pauses to stop and think and like talk, think about your next move or your next line. But you have to act like a real person through it. You can't just be like an improviser on stage thinking. That's not fun to watch.
Yeah, I totally agree. Even if you're a bad actor, it's better to at least try to act through that silence, as opposed to just clearly dropping the character and being yourself and being like, all right, let me see. I got about 3 seconds here to think of the funniest thing I can think of, and this is gonna crush. And then,
I do think so. Like when you're in, I agree with what you're saying. Like when you're in a scene, I think generally your first instinct is probably the best one.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think like if you're in the wings, or if you're like waiting to, I mean, if you're standing in the wings and you're ready with something, almost never should you go in with that. Like just drop it and let something else happen more naturally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it does. I agree, especially with what you were saying earlier about like being on a team versus two. I mean, once the show is now 3 people or more, then it's like no guarantee. Like if you're doing a 3-person show that's 12 minutes, or a 2-person show that's 12 minutes, that's in theory in the 2-person show 6 minutes for you to be on stage, where in the 3-person show it's only 4 minutes. And the more people you add to your team, like in a 10-person Slice show, if you're not in the first 3 scenes, then you're like, oh shit, okay, I really got to start the game now. And then someone else starts the game in the Herald, and you're like, oh my God, I haven't done anything. And then all of a sudden you have 3 people walking out trying to be like, hey, I haven't been in the show yet. Oh, me either. Okay. And then I'm also, here's my idea. And it's just like, the more people you add there's too many cooks in the kitchen sometimes, you know? So when it's two people,
Yeah.
you can slow down, let everything
Mhm.
happen. I think you can make everything more important because I do I do feel like if you have those moments of silence in like a bigger group show, instead of like letting those resonate because there's no one on the sideline, someone on the sideline could come and edit it or do a
Yeah.
walk on or insert themselves into the scene just because they were like, well, it was quiet. I didn't think anybody had anything. When in reality, it could have been Ariel and Trent, their characters having a moment of silence together for something,
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree.
I think when you're close enough with your team, you can pick up on what those
Yes.
moments are, and you give each other that space to play. But if you're just playing in like a mishmash or whatever,
Mhm.
it's harder to get those moments. But I think those moments can be really, really great. Also, going back to what you were saying about if I'm not in the first three scenes, I gotta start. You are an excellent game starter. That is one thing I really, really miss about playing with you is you just walking out into the middle of the stage and going, hit the lights, Johnny, and you are some like club singer doing some like that's such a Trent move in my mind.
Thank you.
So fun, so fun. Song starter.
That's another. Oh, well, I do love music in improv. I think it's so funny, especially because typically 50%, if not more, of the team is bad at it, number one. And number two, it's almost impossible to get that many people on the same page singing the same song. So that's always fun for me. I also feel like that's a thing of like halfway through the second scene, I could almost, if we're doing a Herald specifically, halfway through the second beat of the or halfway through the second scene of the first beat, I'm like, well, I don't want to do a first beat scene now. I'll start the game and it's going to be a song. Or someone will mention, typically, someone would mention not even a song specifically. They'd say a sentence that has a song lyric in it. And I'm like, well, I've got this song stuck in my head. So I'm going to make the rest of these guys do this with me, force it upon them.
Yeah.
But overall, I would say follow your instincts because I think the original question from you, Ariel, was maybe which is better, which is right, or what do you think is better, something along those lines. But all that is to say, and this goes back to Val failing big in comedy sports, there's no right or wrong answer, right? Because it's improv. It's all being created as we're going. So whatever you say is not right or wrong, but whatever you say is true, which I think is the most important thing. Once you say something into the world, that's real now. That exists. And so if your first response was muscles as to why you got divorced, then then that's true. And we can justify it.
Which makes me reminds me I really enjoyed that you have your response to being asked if you were a twin was no, but I do have 3 triplet brothers.
You specifically said I have a pair of
in retrospect I heard it because I was gonna say no, but I have a pair of twin, younger brothers. But I was like, heightening's fun, so I'll make it triplets. But I had already said pair. Sometimes the brain is slower than the mouth.
I should have caught that. And one of them died or something crazy on the Titanic.
Oh, and that would have brought it full circle, a classic Ariel move. Well, Ariel, this is great. Thank you so much for being here and doing improv with me. As you know, I always love watching you perform. One of my favorite things about Ariel is that she loves hot dogs just like I do. So we have that in common, among other things. But she's also a great person, great human. Please visit arielsinhaha.com for more information on her work, or follow her on Instagram at the same thing, Ariel Sinhaha, which is her name plus an extra ha, because that's funny, baby. That's comedy. Also, if you liked Ariel's improvisational comedy, which I am hoping you did, and I'm sure you did, if you want more of her, every other Thursday on the Twitch, the Trident Network Twitch stream, which is what you're watching right now, is Forgot to Mute, which is a short form improv show, which Ariel is a part of. So tune in next Thursday to watch Forgot to Mute, and you'll see Ariel, or come back in 2 weeks when I'll be back. Val, can you please tell us how to subscribe to the channel?
Yes, sir. So if you're watching right now, there's a purple button below us, really below Trent right there, and it says subscribe. You can click on it and you can subscribe. And the nice thing about if you subscribe is that it helps us continue to do what we're doing right now. We have a lot of amazing people making podcasts, doing shows like this one, making videos and web series. And it is only with your support that we can continue to provide that platform and help those amazing creators make their stuff. You can actually subscribe for free if you have an Amazon Prime subscription, which I'm going to put.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, right? Can you believe it? I just put the link to the directions on how to do that. It's only like maybe 4 or 5 clicks, and you can give us some financial support at no cost to yourself. And if you subscribe to our channel now, as Trent mentioned at the top of the show, you get access to our cool Party Dolphin emote, and we're going to have more Party Dolphin emotes soon. Party Dolphin is basically our mascot. You'll see a little party. His little party hat is right there at the bottom of the chat too. So if you're liking Party Dolphin, you can use him here or anywhere on Twitch. And I'll throw it back to Trent to talk about podcast stuff.
Oh yeah, thanks, Val. The Trident Network also does podcasts like this show you are watching now or potentially listening to now. This is the only hybrid show that the Trident Network has that's a live stream and a podcast, but there's a ton of other great podcasts on the Trident Network. You can go to thetridentnetwork.com and click on the podcast tab to find out more about podcasts. Val actually hosts an incredible podcast that I love personally. It's called D-Commentaries, where her and her co-host Allie Ring go through all the old Disney Channel original movies. If you love those, if you grew up with those, check those out. There's a bunch of great other podcasts. Check those out.
Including
Also
Trent's other podcast, the Tournament Podcast.
Thank you, Val. I have another podcast. I love mediums and content. That's it. That's it for this week. Please visit thetridentnetwork.com or subscribe to this channel right now. There's a lot of cool stuff going on there always. There's some merch over there, a lot of cool merch. The Trident logo, I think, is sweet, and the swag is sweet. So yeah, that's it. Val, thank you. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Ariel, thank you for joining us. Give Ariel some love in the chat. And if you're listening to this on a podcast, thank you for also doing that. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.